Hello and welcome back to Ria's Autism World. In today's video, I'm going to be discussing how to go about getting an autism diagnosis. So step number 1 is to recognise the symptoms. So it took me a very long time to figure out that I was autistic. I think it started in 2005 and my next door neighbour said to my mum, do you think that Ria may be autistic? Is it something that you would consider? And at the time, Mum said, no, she's just shy and she'll grow out of it. And it was just left for years and nothing more was said about it. Fast forward to 2010. So I was doing a special needs course at college and it was for people with autism and other disabilities. And it was basically a course where you did taster lessons and stuff. And one of the lessons was teamwork. So in teamwork, I was with a small bunch of people and they all had autism. So in the lesson, we basically work as a team and we play like board games, card games. We'd go off around the town and follow maps and solve problems and stuff as a group. And it was the very first time that I suspected that I may be autistic, because they would all make like funny noises. They all struggled to make eye contact. None of us really could socialise very well as a team. So at the time, I was kind of known as the girl who never spoke, so I didn't really say very much. I couldn't join in, and neither could they, so we'd all just sit around a table and not really speak. And I thought then, like, hey, do you know, I'm like these people. Maybe I'm autistic too. So I went home to my parents and I said, I'm part of this group at college called Teamwork, and I'm with these autistic people, and I have very similar traits to them. Like, I can't join in, like, or make eye contact, and my parents said, no, you're not autistic, don't be silly. But I knew deep down that I was. Moving on to 2011. So I started a new college course and I had a new tutor who's sadly no longer with us. And she was telling me about this student she had who had Asperger's syndrome. And he thought he was in a relationship with this girl, even though really they were just friends and he didn't realise. So yeah, he really genuinely thought he was in a relationship when he wasn't. And my tutor said, you know what, you're very similar to this guy who had Asperger's syndrome and he thought he was in a relationship when he wasn't. And you have very similar personality traits to him. Have you ever considered that you may be autistic? It was only then that I wanted to pursue an autism diagnosis. So I went home and started Googling the signs and symptoms of autism. And I was so shocked at how many things I could relate to in regards to autism. Like, I ticked nearly every single box. It was crazy. So like, I had communication difficulties, lack of eye contact, routines, hating physical touch, hating flashing lights or loud noises. It's just everything just related to me so much. Step number 2 is to write down your autistic symptoms. Making a list of your symptoms is a huge help when you go to your doctor. Step number 3 is to make a doctor's appointment. During your doctor's appointment, be sure to tell them that you suspect that you may be autistic and that you've been reading the signs and the symptoms, and be sure to show them the list that you've made of your signs and symptoms. And if they agree, hopefully, with a bit of luck, they will forward you for an autism diagnosis. Step number 4 is to fill in the form. So I should start by saying that I got diagnosed in 2012 and there was only a paper copy of the form available, but I'm not 100% sure that they also have an online copy if you prefer to fill it in that way now. So the form is like a questionnaire, and it contains many questions about autism, and I think it's like yes or no kind of questions, so you have to like tick yes or no to certain things. And I think it also gives you questions where you have to like write answers yourself, so they'll ask you like a question and then you have to like answer it in like a sentence. Step number 5 is to send off the completed form. So if your form is successful, you should hear back in 2 months tops. Step number 6 is to wait to hear back. So your form will then be sent through to like this board or panel, and they know nothing about you, so they don't know your age or gender, so it's completely anonymous, and they make a decision by reading through the questionnaire on whether or not that you warrant an autism assessment, just by like reading through your symptoms. Now, you don't always get put through for an autism assessment. It purely depends on whether the board feels that you warrant an autism assessment based on your questionnaire answers. So if, say, you don't have many autism symptoms, now I don't know how it works, but I don't know whether you're going to hear back or not, but they might write to you and say that you're unsuccessful. But all I know is that if you are successful, you will hear back in the post. Step number 7 is the assessment. So if you are successful with your form, you will hear back in the post saying that you were successful and that we put you forward for an autism assessment. Now, I must warn you that autism assessments can take many months for an appointment to come through. I think I waited about 7 months for mine. Now, it could be longer or it could be shorter. Unfortunately, I cannot advise on this. So I'm not going to go into too much detail in this video on my autism assessment experience because I'm saving it for a future video which will be more detailed. So basically, I had to wait 7 months for the appointment to come through, and it was December that I finally got the appointment, and I had to travel to my nearest city over 2 days. I think the first assessment day was 3 hours long, and I can't remember 100%, but the second day was either 3 hours again or it was just an hour. I think it was shorter on the second day. So yeah, they gave me a diagnosis of Asperger's syndrome on the second day, right at the end before I left. So yeah, they did say that Ria, you are autistic. We're diagnosing you with Asperger's syndrome, and that it's a lifelong condition, that it's something you'll have to live with, etc, etc. So yeah, I will go into that in more detail in a future video. And yeah, so that was my autism diagnosis story. Now, I don't know whether it's 100% correct because my memory is slightly foggy because it was 10 years ago. And because it was 10 years ago, also things might have changed. So like the diagnosis procedure might have changed since then. I know for definite that Asperger's syndrome is no longer used as a diagnosis. So now just autism is used as a diagnosis, and I know that's definitely one thing that's changed. But other than that, I really don't know. I'm pretty sure that the basic diagnosis procedure is the same, but yeah. So I hope my video has helped you on your journey of getting an autism diagnosis. So I'm still kind of new to YouTube, and I just wanted to raise awareness of autism and my life living with autism and stuff. So please subscribe to my channel if you're interested in seeing my future content. I have many videos planned on autism. I have like over 200 ideas written down. So yeah, please subscribe if you're interested in seeing my future content. So I'm heading off now to have a hot chocolate drink because I am 2 hours late having my hot chocolate, and that is part of my evening routine because I've kind of gone over filming this video. I didn't realise it's going to take so long. So yeah, thank you all so much for watching.